What's going on, people? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It is a Monday. Not only is it a Monday, but happy holiday for those who had the opportunity to be off and enjoy this day. It was a beautiful day. It worked out perfect. Worked out perfect. Got to go up, hang out at the Capitol for a minute. Kids and grandkids came over, did a barbecue type thing, hung out with them, and then it started raining. And by that time, everybody was going home, and the wife and I was sitting in our chairs going, what a great day it was. So everything worked out perfect. It was a perfect day. So how we doing, people? I hope everybody has had a great day. I'm just saying. I haven't seen you guys in a while. I took last week off. I had my grandson. We always keep my grandson the week that school is starting, and we do stuff with him and all this here type of stuff, kind of to kick off the summer and him going to school. I got a big seventh grader going in the school. So that's a big deal around here right now. It's a big deal because he has all his courses, which I'm so proud of him. But most of his courses in the seventh grade are college courses. And you have to be nominated by your teachers to be in these courses. And so this is a huge deal for us. And we have always been on him when it comes to his schooling. And parent teachers conference will make sure that mom and dad are always at the parent. And if they got any questions, and if I got it, I'm the first person up at that school. I don't play. I know I do not play when it comes to his education at all. But for us right now, we are so happy. We're so proud of him. It's not even funny. I mean, the kid is a straight A student. And then so we're gonna have to we all gonna have to buckle down here when him going through these courses, these classes, and going places and going to colleges for one of his studies. I think they'll be actually going to the college. So yeah, he's listen, he's that smart. I told y'all, I've told y'all about him. This is my grandson that I bring up to my Sunday school class. And I got kids in my Sunday school class that's in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade that can't read the curriculum for Sunday school. I hand it to my grandson, and he reads it as if he's seen it over and over, and he had never seen it before. I'm just saying. I brags on him. I do, because I know what it took for us to get him to where he's at right now. This is a village raising this one. No ifs, no ands, no buts. No ifs, no ands, no buts. But anyway, people, how you doing? It's something funny when it comes to the internet. Well, not just the internet, just when it comes to life, period. The way people's mind, it seems like to me now, is wired, right? Because if they don't like something that you say, or they think something you say isn't agreeing with them, then you're called a hater, right? Even though you're just a messenger, right? I'm just a messenger. That's all I am. But you're a hater. That cracks me up. That cracks me up. How people like to try to pin something on you because you're telling the truth. But because you're telling the truth and they don't really want to hear the truth, or they want their truth, now you're a hater. You hate everybody. I don't have time. See, that's the thing that cracks me up. I don't have time to hate people because I'm moving. You got keyboard warriors, people that really people that, and it's always those people that really ain't doing shit. Right? Because see, we got those in the community, right? You got those in the community that knows the loopholes. And what I mean by that is they know how to get the money. They know how to put the money in their pocket. And then you got those who wish they knew how to put the money in their pocket. And the only thing they do is run around the internet pissing people off. If I had time to do that type of crap, I would probably be, as they call it, a hater also. I don't have time to hate nobody. I don't hate anybody at all. Watch this. So in 1960, when Dr. King was in a jail, and they were about to take Dr. King and put him in this penal farm. So Mrs. King, who was pregnant, got on the phone and called Gerald Ford. Called Ford. Remember? Ford and JFK was battling for the presidency. In 1956, Eisenhower, who was a Republican, got 60% of the black vote. Look it up. Black people were voting for the Republicans. And Eisenhower got 60% of the black vote. Matter of fact, Dr. King's father was a Republican. What Carl said, the whole thing is a message to the poor people. I'm out. Poor people do what they do. The Rev will explain it. Carl, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Carl said the whole thing is a message to poor people. Then he said, I'm out. He said, poor people do what they do. The Rev will explain it. I can't explain that, Carl, because I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I'll be more than happy, Carl, I'll be more than happy to give you an opportunity to come on here and we can have that conversation. Or better yet, I'll give you my phone number, brother. We can look, I like having conversations with people. That's one thing if anybody know me, I likes having conversation with people. But anyway, I caught that because Carl put that on here, so I wanted to make sure I read what Carl put out there. So the two guys were looking for votes. And Dr. King's wife called Nixon and said, they have my husband locked up and I need to get him out. Nixon, being a Republican, was like, whatever. So she calls JFK. And he said, don't worry about it. I will take care of this. And when JFK made the phone call, this is when the switch happened. This is when the switch happened. When JFK called and got King out of jail, Dr. King's father switched from being a Republican to a Democrat. And every black newspaper put in their paper that JFK, a Democrat, was the man to vote for. I say that to say this here. In Minneapolis, and I'm just saying, that's how powerful the black church was in 1960. That the black church changed the way that people voted. Because it was the black church that went and said, we all are going to vote for for JFK now. And black people switched from Republican to Democrat. And it's been that way ever since. And then the Civil Rights Bill happened. And more black people who were still over on the Republican side switched over. I say all of that to say this. In Minneapolis, the black church, and I can tell you this, and I'm just a messenger. In Minneapolis, the black church still wields a lot of power. It does. It does. Not as much as it did before, but it still wields a lot of power. When you need something done or want something done you can get a group of black pastors together and we will get some things done. I've had 4 meetings, 3, and one with some local nonprofit organizations that I know got the ears of the community. And this is what I know. And this is what I can tell you, and this is what I've said. And it's not hating. It's the will of the people. Period, point blank. They're not voting for a Republican, nor are they voting for someone who shields for the Republican. So the meetings that I've been having with the black clergy has been about Jacob Fry and how important it is that we keep a socialist out of office. And we need someone that can win. Period. That can win. Period. Now, when people say Lacey Johnson, now when you have hooked yourself up with Lacey Johnson in the black community, there's no turning around, because everybody remembers that. Lacey Johnson is a Republican. Lacey Johnson is one of those black men that carries water for the Republican Party. And in the black community, he is called, and I quote what they said in the room, a coon. We're not voting for someone who has been associated with Lacey. I'm only the messenger telling exactly what was said. It's not being a hater. I brought the dude's name up, and everybody looked at me like, get out of here. It's not going to happen. Doesn't matter what somebody else has said. Oh, I've turned myself into this, I turned myself into that. Lacey Johnson is who they say. So it's like your last at bat. That's what people remember, your last at bat. And especially if you struck out at bat, people remember that and they don't forget that. Lacey Johnson was toxic in the community. I know that. And a lot of people know that. Period. You like I said, when you cast yourself as one thing, and then you try to turn around and make yourself into something else, people don't forget that. They just don't. And in every single meeting that I've been in, and I just wanted to see for myself if it was just the 5 clergy that I met with at first when I mentioned the name, that's what. No, it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. This is a bulk of people now that we've invited to these meetings, and we've said, here is the names of certain people, and they're not going to vote for a Republican. Just not going to do it. I don't care. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I don't care how you see it. If you think you can change their minds, this is what I say to people. You pull them in a room, change their mind. But because of how bad the Republican Party has been, the things that the Republican Party say. Look, hold on. Let me show you something. There is a problem in the black community. There's many problems in the black community. No ifs, no ands, no buts. Right? Many problems. And we have not had not a Republican step up and say, all of these problems, even the 2 black Republicans, so-called, even the 2 black Republicans that are that's at the Capitol. You ain't heard nothing from them when a kid is shot, when a kid is missing, black kid is missing. You ain't heard nothing from them. So not only do the Republicans put a bad stink and a bad stigma on themselves, what is that? How much are concrete policy proposals discussed? On the third, Jeff, on the third one meeting we had, a lot, because one of the things that we have been discussing is if we're going to go out and help keep Fry in office, here are our policies. Here, we're not just coming in going, we're going to give you this for free. So there's been a lot of things discussed in these meetings. And this is and we're going to be having him in in a meeting with him, going, here's the platform. Because nobody really has a platform, actually, for the community that people can get behind. So we're left at this point, and the people have spoken. I don't care what anybody else say. I don't care how you put it. The people spoken. The people have. This is what the people want. Right? This is how they see it. This is what they think. Regardless of what anybody else says. Period, point blank. Regardless of what anybody else says. This is how we're rolling. Period. But because, again, like I was saying, knowing how the community is working, knowing what goes on in the community, I just had Paul Kozelka. Watch this. This is what's funny to me. So I had a back and forth with Paul Kozelka on my timeline. Had a back and forth with Paul. And in having this back and forth with Paul revealed that the Republicans did something to stop the defund the police. That's what Paul Kozelka said. So I said to Paul, so the Republicans are taking credit for stopping, he said, statewide, but not citywide. Oh, so that means Republicans actually, because I've been told, right? We've been told, not only by Republicans, senators and legislators, but also by the Republican base, that the Republicans can't do anything in Minneapolis. But yet I got Paul Kozelka saying that they're going to take credit for stopping defund the police. So, Paul, are you saying that Republicans can actually do something in Minneapolis? Because if you're going to take credit, you're telling me you can do things. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to figure it out. Because you said you're taking credit for stopping the defund the police get up. And to me, I thought the people did that because the people are the one who voted to make sure that the police was not defunded. But according to Paul Kozelka, it was Republicans who stopped it. So if the Republicans can do something in Minneapolis with all the trouble going on, everything that's going down, why haven't they stepped in to do anything? Why haven't they stepped in to do anything? That's the problem. Now, I sit here all the time and I say, Republicans don't come into Minneapolis and do anything. Correct? And I know people sit there and go, well, if they came in there, Rev, what would you have them do? I would have them just to show up right now. When there's a shooting and there's a killing of a kid and they're having a visual, you know what would be awesome to have? A couple of Republicans just showing up saying, we care. When there's mental health issues or school issues or something like that going on, you know what be cool? If a couple of Republicans was to show up at some of these here meetings that they have and go and ask questions. Because if I was one, I would show up and be like, hey, look, I know my district is over here, but it's also important for me as a Minnesotan to make sure that everybody in Minnesota is treated the same, correct? If I know there's a problem somewhere and there's people who are disgruntled and I know that, maybe I don't get a vote tomorrow, but somewhere down the line, those votes will manifest, I would show up at these places. I would show up at a diner. I would show up at some of the meetings. I would show up. Well, Jeff, I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that's gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I would support. I would support the National Guard anywhere there's a problem. I've always said that, Jeff. If you followed me long enough, you would know. Jeff asked me a question. Would you support National Guard at 36 and Penn? Hell yes. Oh no, Jeff. I don't take no, brother. Don't. Jeff says I'm asking an honest question, not baiting. I took that as an honest question. I took that as an honest question. So no, I don't consider it to be. I don't consider that to be baiting, man. You ask me a question, I'm gonna answer it. Hey Jeff, when Lindell and Broadway, there was a liquor store. It's still a liquor store there. It's not as hot as it once was. But when there was shootings there every single day, when there was shootings at the gas station across the street, I was one of the people saying, "Where is the National Guard?" I was one of the people saying, "I want to see trucks rolling down Broadway." Right here, I was one of those people. Okay, so no, I don't consider your question to be baiting. I would have no problem when 11-year-old has a gun and that 11-year-old gets shot by a 16-year-old who has a gun. Whatever can stop that, Jeff, whatever will stop people driving F-150s, cruising in the community, selling ammo, whatever will stop people who's driving F-150s from coming into the community, driving up a back alley and open up the back of that truck, and there's every array of firearms there is in that truck, and these kids who are selling drugs on the end of the corner are buying those. If the National Guards can stop that, Jeff, I'm all for it. If the National Guards will slow down the people who's coming in from the north, south, east, and west and buying the drugs from these here 11, 12, 13, and 14-year-old kids who's walking the streets or on a corner, if we can slow the drug sales, the hard drug sales down from people who are coming in outside of Minneapolis buying these drugs, I'm all for the National Guard. All for them. I would have no problem with the National Guard being. As a matter of fact, if they need for somebody to walk them around, if they need for me to walk them up 26, up Lindell, down Penn, Lowry, Bryant, if they need to come hang out at Fairview Park, if they need a tour guide, Jeff, this is how serious I am about it. Right here. That's all they have to do is ask me. I'll take them around. I'll show them all the hot spots. I need a troop standing here. I need a couple of you standing here. I need a few of you over here. I need a few of you over here. And then I want a truck doing a complete lap. I want that truck. I want two trucks. I want one to start on Broadway, and I want the other one on Lowry. And I want you doing a lap just like this here. I want you to go down Lowry. I want you to come up Lindell. I want you to go down Broadway, and then I want you to go down Penn this way. I want that truck and continue those trucks in continuous motions. Continuous motion. Period, point blank. I'm going to sit a truck at Lowry. No, not Lowry. At Broadway. So when they come off the freeway to buy the drugs, they get to see the troops there. If they come in off Penn, come in from why don't the cops do that now? Well, see, Jeff, here's the deal. There's many people in Minneapolis realize and know that if they stop the drug trade, if they stop them from, because right now it's an open air system, right? If they stop the drug trade, the drug buying, the drug selling, the drug dealers in Minneapolis, guess where those drug dealers have to go? They're going to have to go to their customers. And a lot of those customers, Jeff, tell you the truth. Like I said, you can call me a hater because every time you somebody tell the truth, they're a hater. But a lot of those customers, Jeff, they're not in Minneapolis. So they would have to leave Minneapolis to go to their customer. See, Jeff, as long as they can contain 394, 494, 694, as long as they can contain Plymouth, South Minneapolis and North Minneapolis, and they can keep it in, then everybody's fine. But if they ever open this here gate, if they ever stop them and the drug dealers have to go somewhere else, I'm just saying. I'm just a messenger telling the truth. It's not being a hater. It's not about being a hater. That is the truth. Yep. I said that. Thank you, Big Vic. Big Vic said the government should, and they should do that. They should set up cameras to take pictures of these cars. When these cars come in, and they used to do that. They used to have something like that, but it was for, you remember back in the day there was this newspaper. I don't know if y'all remember this or not. Some of you do, some of you don't. But there was this paper, kind of like a newspaper. And in this here kind of newspaper is they would print when they would arrest people who are soliciting prostitution, correct? Do you know why they stopped doing that? Quiet as it's kept. You know why they stopped? Y'all, if you remember those papers, and you can buy that paper for $1 at a gas station, and they have all these pictures of all these men that came into Minneapolis for prostitution. Y'all remember that was paper? I wish I'd have bought one long time ago and kept that thing, so when I'm talking about it, I can show you what I'm talking about. But back in the day, that's what they did. You know why they stopped doing that? Again, I'm just a messenger. I'm not, you can call me a hater if you want. They stopped doing it because it was filled a lot with white men. He said, set up a billboard with a message that we are watching you and supply it to the police on demand. Yeah. There's a lot of things by Big Vic that can be done, but they just don't want to do it. They just don't want to do it. They would rather, see, it's easy for them to call themselves, it's easy for them to make a bill, right? It's easy for them to put this stuff in bill form so they can run around and pat themselves on the back and say, look at what we did, when actually that's not even needed. It's not needed. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is this here. All right. Mayor Fry is who everybody wants to vote for. Period. I'm just going off what I've been told. I'm going off what I've heard. I'm going off what the people have said. Now, you can get upset and get mad and if you want. Here's my thought. Get off your ass and go do something. Period, point blank. It's that simple. It's that simple. That's not being a hater. Not being a hater. I'm giving you exactly what I was told. I'm giving you exactly what was said. Big Vic said Rev should be a privately fund operated that is outside law enforcement. It took a nutbag going up to murder these children, which my wife and I, we went up to the church, school, whichever one you want to call it, and paid our respects, prayed over the school. So I had to go up there and pay my respects for what happened up there. That was I like I said, I feel really bad for the parents who have lost. I couldn't imagine. And I'm a gun owner. I own guns. Matter of fact, I got, right? Got my shirt. But here's my mindset. And I've got to look at this on both sides. I got to look at it from a side of a gun owner, and then I have to look at it on the side of how the parents are thinking. Because the parents are saying, let's do away with firearms. Let's do away with guns. And then you got these people over here that's saying, oh, they want to take our guns away, right? I mean, that's always what you're going to hear from the gun people. Oh, they want to take our guns away. Nobody coming to take your damn gun. I'm a gun owner. I've never said some crap like that. I mean, that talking point is one of the most worn out. That's like a record with no groove. You got to come up with something different. Seriously. You got to come up with something different. That's just my mindset, the way I see it from sitting behind, looking at it with my type of lens. Nobody's coming to take your gun away. Now, do they want to do something? So my mindset is there should be a situation where these quote unquote gun lobbyists should get in a room with people who have guns and people who don't have guns. And there really is, other than banning everything, because that's the thing we want to do. We want to ban everything. If we don't know how to fix something, let's ban it. All right? If we don't like it, it's woke. Right? And if we say it's woke enough, then it's going to go away. Maybe that's what they should do with. That's what maybe that's what the Democrats should start doing. Maybe the Democrats should call, certain guns woke. Because everything these days is woke. If you don't like something, it's woke. If you hate it, it's woke. Correct? I mean, I'm just a man in the middle trying to help out. So I go up to the Capitol today. So at the Capitol, it's like Mayor Fry. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this again. I just want to read off what Mayor Fry had to say. So Mayor Fry says, he said, this community, he said, this is love. He said, today, hundreds of people showed up at the church, students, staff, and families, and stood together in calling for strong protection against gun violence. See, the wording he used, right, is what scares people who have guns. Well, what is that strong protection? When you say that, when you say strong protection to me, I'm just saying to me now, I'm not talking about nobody else. When you say strong protection to me, I'm thinking you're going to put guards outside these schools. That's what I'm thinking. Strong protection against gun violence. To me, where is the violence happening? In the schools. So if we're going to have strong protection against gun violence, that means you're going to get smart enough to say, let's get some of these here, let's get some of these veterans who don't have a job, these veterans, and let's put them in these schools. And some of these schools that we know that are vulnerable to these people walking in and shooting the school up. Now, you can't put them in urban because, after urban kids being shot them up. I'm just saying. Hey, when an 11-year-old has a gun, only thing I'm saying is these urban schools, you really don't have to worry about them. You don't have to. You got to worry about these white schools or these white boys. And that's another thing. Hold on. Let me finish this here. We're going to get to this trans thing because y'all been cracking me up on that. Y'all need to put them in these here outer area like South Minneapolis. Okay, so let me explain South Minneapolis to you. That school that was shot up, that's a white school. Let's call it what it is. That's why he went there. Period, point blank. He ain't going to Prep Academy. He ain't going to North Bend because he knows he more than likely there could be a couple people that if you walk up in there talking about shooting, something's gonna come back at you. That's why they don't be messing with these schools. They go out in the suburbs, right? And most schools have been shot up, or what schools? They ain't see no black schools shot up. Come on. White people killing white people. White on white crime. White on white violence. But y'all try to, but he was trans. He was white. Nah, he was white. Okay, if he's trans or not. I don't care if he's ballooned. If he was a white balloon, that's who shot that school up. A white guy shot up the school. But Rev, he's trans. If it was a black guy, he would be black. Don't matter if he was trans or not. Y'all know that as well as I do. A white dude shot up a white school. Now, when Mayor Fry is sitting here saying we want to protect, and we need strong. When you start using those words, I am hoping he's saying that we will put people in place when school is on. There will be people with firearms in these schools from this point on. Every school should have at least one or two people trained in that school who are willing, unlike Valdez, I think, what was it? Was it Valdez somewhere? The place in Texas where the police wouldn't go in. We don't need people like that. We need people that when it goes off and things start happening, they're gonna go toward they're running that way. Not this way, that way. That's what we need. I hope that's what Mayor Fry is talking about. I hope that's what Tim Walz is talking about. When they're talking about legislation that will do something about gun violence. You ever notice how we never get any legislation to do anything about gun violence when it's black kids killing? You don't hear that. You don't hear Tim Walz say a word. You barely hear Mayor Fry say anything. You don't hear our lieutenant governor. You ain't never heard the lieutenant governor speak up about the black gun violence that we have in the community. You barely even hear some of the black leaders at the Hill on the Capitol speak about what's going on with these kids. But the minute it happens, they even talking about pulling troops, bringing in state troopers, right? More into the. But when we had a 23-year-old girl shot and killed, nobody said anything. We had an 11-year-old boy shot and killed, nobody said anything. When you had a 10-year-old boy in his house and they was shooting, gang shooting on the streets, and a bullet went into his home and hit him, nobody said a word. Ain't seen Tim Walz. Tim Walz ain't said a word. Not only have Tim Walz not said a word, but none of these here so-called gun groups has said a word about it. And that's, to me, is one of my biggest problems that I have. If you're going to fight to keep the guns, then get into the fight of what's going on with the guns. Get into the fight of what's going on with the guns. Because you're a hypocrite if only thing you do is fight to keep the guns. I would love to have my gun. I thank you for all the, but get into the fight of what's going on with the guns. That's why people don't like you. Same thing that was said to me at the thing today. When all the black kids are dying, where's the NRA? If they're going to fight to keep the guns, then get in where the guns are being used bad and open up and have a voice there. But they don't do that. They're too busy scaring up their base with this. They're going to take your guns away. That's how they raise money. But they don't speak out. When these kids are getting shot by the very thing that they want to run around and protect. That was one of the things that was said today at the Capitol. Where are they when the gun is used against a kid? Where are they? You don't see them. But the minute someone says, you know what, we have to come up with something to save these kids, they're the first ones out here going, they want to take your guns. Send us a check. I think a lot of people will be happy to send you a check if you got into the fight. A lot of people will probably look at you different if you got in a fight. Because every time I say something and people say, well, these kids are getting in these guns, they're stolen guns. Okay. If that's the deal, if these kids, all these guns that these kids have and all these guns that they pulled 900, what was it, like 900 some guns off the street? Totaling almost 1,000 guns by the end of this year, probably. I'm going with your logic, which you always tell me every time I tell you how these kids are telling me they're getting the guns, and they say, no, Rev, that can't be true. Okay, I'm gonna go with I'm going to go exactly with what you said. So that means 1,000 guns have been stolen out of trucks, out of cars. If I go by I'm going by your logic. And then when I talk to the police and I ask them, are you getting a rash of people coming in saying that my gun have been stolen? They said no. And that doesn't add up to me. Because if all these guns have been stolen, the police should be having reports like you wouldn't believe. So that tells me that people are not reporting that their guns have been stolen. That's not right. That's not right at all. Why? See, here is why. So you ask me, well, what can these gun groups do? They can go around and talk to their members. They can go around and put out press saying, if your gun gets stolen, you have to report that. They can put that out there. They can put a 911 out there saying that. Oh, I know, Vic. Hold on, Vic. But they can put that out there. But see, it's fine. I find it hard to believe that all these guns have been stolen and nobody is reporting them. Which brings me to my next thing. Anyone who buys a gun, that gun should have a number. And that number should stay with you. So if your gun is stolen and you don't report that stolen gun, and that gun end up shooting an 11-year-old, they coming after you because you didn't report your gun like you were supposed to. What's wrong with that? Oh, so you're telling me people who don't report their guns shouldn't be held accountable? I just want to make sure. Because you said that all of these guns that's on the streets was stolen guns. They're not being brought in. Correct? I'm just going off of what you said. So now we're saying we don't want that gun to have a number to us. So when that gun is in a situation where it kills a black kid and you don't report that gun, then you're not responsible for that gun. That's what you're saying. See, that's what I got a problem with. We know as well as a lot of other people, nobody wants to be responsible for that gun because more than likely that gun probably wasn't stolen. Because if I can take a $500 gun, go down in North Minneapolis and sell that $500 gun for $1,000, and I can get $1,000 for that gun, more than likely I probably gonna end up doing that. So now that gun is a stolen gun. Oh no, that gun was stolen. And more than likely, you know that the police are not going to do their due diligence, right? And then trace that gun back to you. You know that. And more than likely, you know as well as I do that they probably filed the number off. Anyway. But Big Vic said, which is somewhat true because I've been told that another way that they get these guns, he said they have been hitting trains on the yard and stealing guns out of freight cars. Okay, Vic, I'm going to go with what you just said. Even though some parts of what you just said is true. So think about this, Vic. I mean, Think about this for a second. They would have to know exactly which car to hit, correct? They would have to know how long that train is going to be sitting there and which car they need to go through to get these firearms. So that tells me that there's somebody on the inside. And you're not going to make me believe that this person on the inside don't have something to do with law enforcement. Because I'm sure they're not just going to have guns on a train and no law enforcement anywhere around all of these guns. I mean, I'm just saying. Then Vic says, he said, it's an insurance loss via the railroad or freight company. So it was never owned by a citizen. Yeah, there are guns, just like he said. But then I have to believe, like I said before, this is an inside job. Because they're not going to go, I mean, to me, if they're that good, they need to play the lottery. If they are that good to where they know exactly which car to hit, right, Vic? They have to know exactly which car to hit. They have to know exactly which one of the cars have the guns in it. Not only that, but the train has to sit on the tracks long enough for them to get over the fence or get through the yard or get where they to be able to hit this car. So it has to be perfect, though, right, Vic? Everything has to go perfect. So that tells me that's more of an inside job, right, Vic? That would have to be an inside job to pull that off. So, wait a minute. Even if they sat for days, Vic, what I'm saying is, what, do they break into every single car? Is that what you're saying? Every car that is sitting, these guys break into every single car. And then they get lucky enough and go, boom, we've got that. I find that hard to believe, Vic. I find it hard to believe that these guys break in every single, because it would be a news story. It would be somewhere on the news, them talking about all of these freight cars that every time they sit, they are going through it and they're hitting it. I'm just looking at it. All containers have unique numbers. So again, wouldn't they have to know the number? Somebody would have to tell them the number to hit the car. Oh, now we have... So in other words, Vic, nobody else. So if I go by your logic, and I'm doing that, this is all about the criminal. The criminal don't have no help in this at all. You said an app. I would like send me that app, Vic. Send me that app, because I've got friends in South Chicago. And a matter of fact, I'm gonna see if they'll come on here. But if you can find that app, Vic, please send me that app. Because I want my friends to see this. See, and right, I want my friends to see this. Because you said and you have apps that can find this unique number easy. Please send me the app, Vic. Seriously. Because I've got friends in Chicago that I want to ask them this question. Unless you're in Chicago, Vic, and you can verify this. But people go out of their way to downplay what I've been told by the gang members. This is what I don't have an app. I don't have a unique number. I've got the mouths of gang members saying, I bought this out of a back alley here in Minnesota. Now, I don't know what they do in Chicago. Maybe that's how it works in Chicago. But there is no trains here in Minneapolis, Vic, that they're robbing. There are no trains here in Minneapolis that they're robbing. That's all I'm saying. I'm just telling you exactly what they've been saying, what they've said to me. So, I needed to know from the people who was up at the Capitol today, what do you want? What type of what type of bills do you think would have stopped that man? Because remember, the white man who shot up those kids he had every right to buy that gun. Every right. So I'm just asking the question, what would have stopped him? What would have made it? See, here's what the Democrats want. And they're not saying the quiet part yet out loud. They want to ban firearms. All of them. All of them. I'm shocked they haven't found a way to ban bullets, rounds, ammo. That's what shocked me. I'm shocked they haven't done that, right? At the end of the day. But I just had a simple question. What actually do you want? Say it out loud. Say it out loud. Because it was up there today, and the red church was out, and it was packed with white people. There had a few black people up there. A few black people, handful. Enough to say, black people were there. But there was thousands of white people up there. Saying that should ban guns. There should be no gun. Nobody. The funny part about it's like I asked the city council member. She said, there shouldn't be weapons of war on the street. And I'm like, there are no weapons of war on the street. What are you talking about? I don't see anybody walking around with an AR-15 every day. I didn't pass anybody today when I was in St. Paul that had an AR-15. When I was over in North Minneapolis on yesterday, I didn't pass anybody with an AR-15. When we was down, my wife and I was over in South Minneapolis, I didn't see anybody with AR. So when they sit and say that weapons of war on the street, I asked her a question. What do you mean by that? The closest to weapons of war would be a pistol with a switch on the back, and that's in the black community. So And I know you would. I know for a fact that the Democrats are not talking about the firearms that they have in the black community. I know that for a fact because they never do, because that's not important. I mean, let's be real. You haven't heard Tim Walz. You haven't heard Peggy. Any Democrat write a letter, proclaim a day, write a statement. None of that. About the 23-year-old girl who was shot at the park. No one said anything about the 11-year-old boy that was shot. The 10-year-old boy was shot. The 17-year-old boy was shot. You haven't heard one word from them. And they're not going to, because it's not that important. We're not. Democrats have long ago figured, well, they're going to vote for us anyway. Only thing we have to do is keep showing them and telling them that Republicans are bad. And like I said, you're a Republican, you're in Hennepin County, forget it. Forget it. Forget it. I was told point blank, not voting for a Republican because of the way they act and the things that they do. They will not get a vote. Period, point blank. And we're not going to be fooled by one who realized that now, who played Republican. And now, when he realized can't get no votes from being a Republican, I'm going to switch over. No. I'm just telling you what people are saying. Now, I go back a ways. I even did a podcast where I was sitting at a table with Lacey. The Republican. Let's not forget about that. Let's not forget about that. I was there. My voice is on tape at this debate. And at the time, it was Republican. That's how they were seeing themselves, Republicans, at the time. I know what I heard with my ears. I know what I saw with my eyes. So we like I said, don't hate the messenger. And the messenger definitely don't hate nobody. Not about hate. This is about being real. This is about the truth. So I say, it's funny when you start telling the truth, people try to push it as hate. Oh, it's hate. No, it's not. That's the truth. That happened. Anyway, if you guys are sports fans, and everybody, I hope you are, everybody know who they are. Doc sent me something here. I'll look it up and see what we got there, Doc. Send that in my message, because what's going to happen? Oh, well, thank you, Doc. Doc said happy retirement. Well, I was gonna leave this for the end of the show, which is I'm 10 minutes over. Sorry. Anyway, so thank you, Doc. I so appreciate you for saying that. Yeah, it's happy retirement. I wish I could have went out on the way I wanted to go out, but because I'm sick and we could not come up with a way for me to keep working, I I had to, after 23 years at being at the same place, um, I had to call it quits. I had to call it quits. There was no way for me to do, because I have to drive an hour to work every day, and it's an hour back home, and I get sick because of the peritoneal, the stuff that I got to do, and a lot of people know I'm waiting on a kidney, right? And until I get that kidney, I get sick, very, very sick. And there was no way for me to keep working. There was no way for me to be able to drive all the way to the office, put in 8 hours, and then drive home and have a good quality of life. That wasn't going to happen. So I had to retire. I had to call it. I'm at that age almost anyway. So I had to call it good. I worked there for 23 years. I've been in the same business. Been in the same business now. For going on 42 years. I've done the same thing. And it's funny, when we was talking about me retiring, I looked at my wife and I go, even if I wanted to do something different, I don't know what to do, because I'm seriously, for 42 going on something odd years, I've literally done the same thing. I've never done a different job. I've never had a different job. I've done the same thing. I've been a programmer for all these years, or I've been an installer. I started off as an installer, worked my way up, and did what I needed to do to keep working, to climb that ladder. But I've been in the same business pretty much all my life. So, like I was telling my wife, even if I got bored and decided that I wanted to go do something, I don't know what to do, because I've never done anything different. I've never wanted to do anything different. I could probably go work at like Subway or something, right? I mean, if I wanted a little part-time job to get out of the house so I can stay on my feet, stay busy, keep my head going, but I figured what I can do now is really get into what I've always done. I can, instead of doing it part-time, helping people, praying for people, running people, stuff, and asking people for donations to help me help people. I can do this pretty much full-time now. And I can take breaks whenever I want to. I don't have to spend my whole weekend, all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, delivering, going, taking things, doing this and do that. I can do it during the day. So I think that's what I'm going to do, Doc. I'm going to embrace that. I'm going to embrace working with people. I'm going to embrace helping people. And I don't know, a part of me believes that, God has put me in this position for a reason. And now he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. You can't work anymore. So I'm going to need you to do more to work with and help the people that needs help. So it could be a good thing, Doc. I'm sad of leaving. I had not plan on retiring for probably another 6 years. The goal was 6 years from now to retire. So I'm 6 years ahead of schedule where I'm supposed to be. But I've got to look at it and go in a way of saying, this is another way for me to actually go off and do some of the things that sometimes I feel I don't have enough time to do, or places that I could go. So I'm going to have the opportunity to go all around Minnesota and to deal with a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, meet a lot of people. So that's going to be awesome. Because I don't plan on just waking up in the morning and just sitting around the house doing nothing. I will not do, because I will go crazy. Retirement doesn't mean sitting down. It's an opportunity to do more. Thank you, Doc. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I think I expect no less retirement. I respect. Right. Thank you, Doc. So that's the plan, Doc. The plan is like you said, to do more, and this way, Doc. When I get because I do get tired, right? One of the things about peritoneal is it makes you tired. I mean, my body, I can go, and I know when my body is doing this. I can feel it. I know it. It's get home and get vertical. It's get up, and I have to do that. So I now know how far I can push it. Retired for good in 2019, busier now than ever. He said, I was on call 24/7. Well, I'm going to be busy, Doc. I like I said, I plan on being busy. We took that whole time. I took that week off last week with my grandson. Went up to Bone Lake, Wisconsin. I don't know if you guys know where that's at, but I posted the pictures. Went up to Bone Lake, Wisconsin, up there, and did some fishing with a friend of mine that I met on Twitter. Did some fishing. He rolled out the red carpet for me and my wife and my grandson. We drove an hour and a half over there. Got to get on the boat. Got to fish a little bit. Played some what do you call that? Cornhole. Was able to roast some marshmallows. We had an awesome time. My wife enjoyed it. My grandson enjoyed it. So we went over there for the day and had a good time. So I want to thank him for that situation also with everything. But I definitely wanted to say something about the Shannon Sharpe situation where another so-called Hall of Famer decided to have something to say about Shannon Sharpe's downfall. Dude, you got away with murder. I would be the last person. I would be the last person to say anything to anybody. Anybody. I would just shut the hell up and go on about your business. Leave Shannon alone. Leave him alone. You ain't got a right, dude, to say one word about Shannon. You don't have a right at all to say one word about Shannon. Yeah, Shannon was a fool, an idiot at that. Let's call it what it is. When you get taken for that much money by a little bimbo, we got to call him what it is. I understand. I get it, bro. But you, of all people, dude, you don't have a right to say one word about anybody, man. You don't have a right, man. Period. Point blank. So shut up. Shut up and just be blessed that you're even free. Be blessed that you're even out. Be blessed that you got off. Leave people alone and mind your own business. Period. Anyway, fam. Hey, I am done. I am 20 minutes over. Totally my fault. Totally my fault. Running off at the mouth. I was just happy to see you guys. I hadn't been here for a minute. The whole nine. But hey, again, like I said before, we have to think about. I'm not going to say you have to. I'm just going to say think about it. Think about what you can do to make Minnesota better. That's what I'm going to be doing with my free time now. My mindset is what can I do to make Minnesota better? How can I make Minnesota better? Because like I said, I've got 3 grandkids. And when I leave here, I don't want anybody to sit there and say, well, my grandkids look back and go, my pawpaw never did anything. My pawpaw didn't speak up. My pawpaw, no. No, your pawpaw did everything he possibly can do to make people's lives better and to see things better and to get people to see things other than the way they are now. That's what he did. Now, there's other people who decided that they were going to be computer warriors. They ain't really done anything, but they swear to God they done all of this and that when they really ain't done a damn thing. It'd be nice if the Republicans would, again, like I said, show up at some of the events. I post a lot of events. Whether you look at it and think, whatever you want to think of it is fine. But at any given day, a Republican can easily say, hey, Rev, you're going to blah, blah. You know what? I want to go see. I want to go see for myself. I'm just not going to get on the computer and be a computer warrior like some people are. Ain't never been to Minneapolis, but yet swear up and down anyway. But I post a lot of stuff that if you're a Republican, you can also join. You can come check it out. You can come hang out. You can come and learn something. Because that's another part of the problem when it comes to Republicans. Republicans don't know anything about the community. They have zero clue. Even some of the Republicans that swear up and down, they know. They don't. Dude, I was on a get up a couple of nights ago with somebody who said that they drive through the community. And because they drive through or they deliver they think they can talk about it. They can't. No. Dude ain't got no right to say 2 things about this community. If your boots ain't on the ground, if you ain't done something, if you don't know somebody, then I don't care how many deliveries you make to Minneapolis. Shut the hell up. Period, point blank. Anyway, hey fam, let's end the night like we always end the night, realizing and recognizing we serve an awesome, awesome, true God, a true living God, a one God that no matter what you do, how you do it, when you do it, this God that we serve can clean you up and make sure that things go right in your life. I'm not saying that every day is going to be roses. I never said that. Let's make sure we understand that. I'm not one of those prosperity preachers. I'm going to tell you that the devil will come into your life. Look at Job. I'm going to tell you that every road that you travel is always going to be, it's not always going to be a straight road. There's going to be kinks and stops and some of everything in that road. But see, what I'm also going to tell you is the God that we serve has told us, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. So even though that road got curves in it, God is always with you. Even though the friends that call themselves your friends and stab you in the back, God is always with you. Even though when mom and dad and sister and brother turn their nose up on you, God is always with you. No matter what you do, God is. That's the reason why I'm not, like I said, that's the reason why I'm not afraid of anything. Especially, when people sit there and go, especially when they call me a hater. I hate this or I hate that. See, I have learned to depend on my God to keep a smile on my face. As long as I do his work, doesn't matter what anybody say. And he gives me the opportunity to tell the truth. He may not like the truth. He may not like what I say. But what I say is the truth. And if telling the truth makes me a hater, I'll make sure I get a hat that says hater on the front of it. Anyway, y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you on Wednesday, fam. Peace. And I'm out. Almost. Smile at somebody, so somebody smile back at you. Y'all have a good night. Bye now.